Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you today about something most folks don't understand until it's too late. Why men fall harder for women who let them go. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that'll flip the whole script in your mind. Letting go ain't weakness. Letting go is power. I know the world tells you that holding on, fighting harder, chasing longer, that's strength. That's love. But let me tell you something from a grown man's perspective. The most unforgettable woman a man will ever meet is the one who had the strength to walk away. Not because she didn't care, but because she did. Because she knew her worth, she knew her value, and she knew love should never cost you yourself. You see, there's something incredibly powerful about a woman who chooses to walk away with her dignity intact. Not screaming, not begging, not proving anything, just quiet, certain, confident. That kind of woman, she leaves an imprint on a man's soul because he didn't lose her to another man. He lost her to herself. And that's a different kind of loss. That's the kind of loss that don't fade with time. It stays with you, wakes you up at night, shows up in your dreams because you realize she was the one who had your back. She was the one who believed in you when even you didn't. She was the one who saw the king in you when all you showed was a joker. Now, let me explain how this works. See, when a woman walks away, it forces a man to take inventory. We start remembering everything we took for granted. The texts we didn't reply to, the calls we ignored, the plans we canceled, the emotional support we didn't appreciate. All of that plays back like a movie in a man's head. And it hits you because now there's silence. And men don't always admit it, but silence from the right woman can be louder than 1,000 conversations. That silence is power. That letting go, that's strength. And here's what most people miss. Letting go doesn't mean you stopped loving him. It doesn't mean you didn't see his potential. It means you finally saw yours. You finally realized that loving someone shouldn't feel like negotiating your worth every day. It shouldn't be confusing, inconsistent, or painful all the time. So when you let go, what you're really saying is, I deserve more. I deserve peace. I deserve to be chosen. Now, let me flip this to the man's side. When she lets go, it humbles us because deep down, we knew. We knew she was rare. We knew she was different, but we thought she'd never leave. We thought she'd always forgive. We thought she'd keep accepting our half-effort love. But when she doesn't, when she walks, that's when we feel the full weight of what we lost. And it's not the kind of loss you can replace with someone new. No, sir. You can try, you can distract yourself, but that one woman, the one who walked away out of love for herself, she's the one you remember because she didn't just disappear. She grew. And that glow up, that's spiritual. That's what hits a man hardest. And the truth is, when a woman lets go, she's not closing the chapter in anger. She's doing it with wisdom. That's why it's powerful. It ain't reaction, it's decision. It's grown woman energy. And the man who watches her walk away, he finally sees what he missed when he had her standing right in front of him. So don't you ever let anybody tell you that letting go is weak. No, ma'am. It takes courage to stop trying to fix something that won't fix itself. It takes courage to say, I love you, but I love me more. That kind of woman don't lose. She walks with power. She moves with grace. And every man who ever underestimated her he learns one way or another that she was never easy to forget. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real right now. Sometimes the only thing that makes a man open his eyes is distance. You see, you can be right there in front of a man, giving him love, loyalty, attention, patience, everything he claims he wants in a woman, and still he won't see you clearly. Not because he doesn't care, but because in his mind, he thinks you'll always be there. That's the thing with comfort. It can blind a man. He stops looking closely at what he's got because he thinks he's got time. He thinks he can get to it later. He thinks you'll wait. But when you step back, when you stop showing up the way you used to, it's like somebody cleaned the fog off the mirror. That's when he starts seeing the truth. That's when the clarity hits. See, distance doesn't just create space, it creates reflection. And men, we don't do a whole lot of talking, but when the noise dies down and you're not there like before, that silence becomes loud. That's when the thoughts creep in. That's when a man starts realizing how much of his world you were holding together. All the little things you used to do, he starts noticing they're missing. That good morning text, that check-in call, that encouragement when he was down, your laughter, your presence, it's gone. And that absence turns into presence in his mind. That's the irony of it. You step away and suddenly you're everywhere he looks. A woman doesn't even have to slam the door. Sometimes just creating a little emotional or physical distance is all it takes to shake a man up. Because now he has to live without something he got used to. And believe me, ladies, the minute you stop chasing, the minute you stop trying to explain yourself, prove your worth, or remind him of your love, that's when he finally starts paying attention. Because now you're not available on demand. Now he's got to sit with himself and his choices. That space you created, it gives him time to evaluate who you were to him and who he was when he had you. Men need that contrast. We need to feel what life is like without you in order to understand what life was like with you. We don't like admitting that, but it's true. When a woman is always there, always trying, always pouring into a man who's not ready, sometimes he don't even register it. But take a step back, and now you've given him the one thing that wakes us up, perspective. A little distance can teach a man more about a woman than being right next to her ever did. And here's what makes that distance so powerful. It gives you your peace back while giving him his reality check. Because now you're not busy trying to fix, chase, or convince. You're doing you. You're focused on your own growth, your own healing, your own life. And that glow up, that energy shift, oh, he feels that from across the city, across social media, across the silence. He knows. And nothing makes a man think harder than seeing a woman thrive in a space he thought she'd never leave. Let me say this plain. When a woman creates space, she gives a man a gift, whether he deserves it or not. She gives him the opportunity to step up, to grow, to recognize her value, and decide if he wants to meet her where she is. And some men do. But even if he doesn't, even if he stays blind or stubborn or stuck in his ego, one thing is for sure, he will remember that moment, that space, that shift, because it changed the energy, it changed the dynamic, and it changed how he sees you forever. Ladies and gentlemen, distance isn't the end. Sometimes it's the awakening. It's not always about leaving permanently. It's about stepping back long enough for a man to realize what he had before he loses it for good. Because when he starts thinking about you in that silence, that's when he knows he never should have taken you for granted in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break it down for you. In this world full of quick love, fast texting, on and off situationships, and people playing games like love is a sport, there is one thing that leaves a lasting mark on a man's heart. One thing that sticks with him longer than beauty, longer than words, longer than all those perfect dates and pictures. That one thing is a woman's self-respect. That's what makes her unforgettable. Now look, a lot of women get caught up in trying to be everything for a man. Cooking, loving, forgiving, understanding, being available, staying loyal, and hoping all of that is going to make him stay. But the truth is, what makes a man stay, what makes him fall, and what makes him remember you forever is when he sees that you love yourself more than you love the idea of him. That's what self-respect is. And let me tell you, when a man sees a woman who doesn't need to beg, doesn't chase, doesn't break her own standards just to keep someone around, that's when he sits up straight. That's when he pays attention. Because she ain't out here trying to prove anything. She knows what she brings to the table. And that confidence, that boundary, that grace, that hits different. See, self-respect is what keeps you from accepting less than what you deserve. It's what makes you say, no, I'm not settling for half effort, half love, half presence. It's what makes a woman walk away from a situation that drains her, no matter how much her heart is involved. And when a man witnesses that, when he sees that strength, he remembers. Because now you're not just another woman who tolerated him. You're the woman who said, I refuse to lose myself while trying to love you. And that right there is unforgettable. You got to understand something about men. We don't always recognize greatness in the moment. Sometimes we take the good ones for granted. We get distracted. We think the woman who says yes to everything is the one who loves us more. But when you walk into a room holding your head high, knowing your worth, setting your boundaries with kindness, but firmness, not trying to convince a man to love you, that makes you rare. That makes you magnetic. Because real self-respect doesn't need to be loud. It don't need to come with attitude or ego. It walks in quiet confidence. It smiles without desperation. It loves, but it never begs. And here's the part that sticks with a man the longest. When he looks back and realizes you could have stayed. You could have tolerated his inconsistency. You could have adjusted your standards just to keep him around, but you didn't. You chose you. And while that may hurt him in the moment, while his pride may tell him he's fine without you, deep down he knows you lost something special, not because you left, but because you never let yourself be treated like an option. Self-respect is power in heels. It's grace with fire. And once a man sees that you're not afraid to walk alone rather than walk with someone who won't walk right, he starts seeing you in a different light. Even if he didn't treat you right before, now he's realizing what he missed. And no matter who comes after, they'll never have that glow you had, the glow of a woman who honors herself. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. A woman's self-respect is not just a standard, it's a statement. It says, I'm not for everyone, and I'm not staying anywhere I'm not valued. That kind of woman don't just enter a man's life. She leaves a legacy in his memory. Because even if she's gone, her presence never really leaves. That's the kind of woman a man carries with him forever. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to tell you one of the rawest truths about men, and once you understand this, it'll change how you carry yourself in any relationship. You ready? Here it is. Men chase what they fear losing. Not what's easy, not what's always available, not what's constantly in their face. A man truly starts chasing when he senses that the woman he thought would never walk away is gone. That fear, that sudden realization that he might have blown it, that's what sparks the fire. That's when the chase begins. See, let me explain how this works. Men are wired to pursue. It's in our nature. But when something becomes too familiar, too predictable, we start to take it for granted. And that's not because we're evil, it's because we're human. But the minute that thing we thought we had on lock starts slipping away, that's when we wake up. That's when it becomes a loss instead of a guarantee. That's when we look at that woman and think, wait a minute, did I just let her go? And that feeling, that panic, that's what moves a man into action. Now listen, some women think they need to fight harder, love deeper, stay longer to prove their worth. But what a man really responds to, what truly shakes him, is the fear of your absence. Is when you stop checking in. Is when you stop waiting for him to decide. Is when you shift your energy, pull back and put yourself first. Suddenly, he's not sure anymore. He's not certain you'll be there tomorrow. And let me tell you, that uncertainty, that makes him rethink everything. There's a power in being the woman who knows when to walk away, not with anger, not with revenge, but with peace, with calm. Because that kind of exit sends a message. It tells a man, you had something valuable, you didn't take care of it, and now it's slipping through your fingers. And it's in that moment that he starts chasing, not because you played games, not because you manipulated him, but because you honored yourself. See, when a man thinks you'll always be there, he doesn't feel the need to change. Why would he? He's comfortable. But when he sees that you're no longer waiting on him, no longer prioritizing him, no longer hoping he'll show up different, that's when he starts showing signs. The texts come quicker. The calls get more serious. He starts asking questions, bringing up the past, trying to reconnect. That's not a coincidence. That's the chase. That's him trying to reclaim something that deep down he knows he didn't deserve to lose. But it all starts with the fear of losing you. Not your looks, not your time, but you. The woman who brought peace to his chaos. The woman who prayed for him, rooted for him, stayed patient when he didn't even deserve it. When that kind of woman starts pulling away, that shakes a man's soul. Because there's a difference between losing a woman and losing a good woman. One who had your back even when you didn't know how to have her. One who saw your flaws and still chose you. Losing her, that's the kind of loss that don't just fade away. That follows you. That changes you. And don't think a man don't feel it. Oh, he feels it. He may try to play it cool. He may act like he's fine. But deep down, he's watching. He's wondering. He's thinking, is she really gone? Did I really lose her? That inner doubt, that uncertainty, that's what fuels the chase. Because men don't chase what's chasing them. They chase what they believe they might not get back. So remember this, your value is not in how long you stay, but in how you carry yourself when it's time to walk. A woman who knows her worth doesn't need to scream it. She just lives it. And when she starts walking away, the right man will run, not because she begged, but because he finally got it. He realized She was the one he couldn't afford to lose. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. There's nothing louder to a man than a woman who becomes emotionally detached. When a woman stops reacting, stops chasing, stops waiting on an answer, a call, a text, a promise, that silence speaks volumes. It rattles him. It grabs his attention in a way that tears, begging, or arguing never could. Because when she's emotionally invested, he knows it. But when that investment pulls back, when she detaches, that's when a man realizes he ain't running the show like he thought. Now look, emotional detachment doesn't mean a woman stopped caring overnight. It doesn't mean her love vanished. It means she got tired. It means her soul said, no more of this. It means she gave chance after chance, listened to excuse after excuse, and one day, without warning, her heart started to protect itself. That's when her silence shows up. That's when her peace becomes her priority. And that's when a man feels it deep. See, most men don't feel the urgency when a woman is still emotionally wrapped up. When she's still asking questions, still arguing, still trying to make it work, that tells him he's still got time. She's still in it. But when her tone changes, when her eyes don't light up the same, when she starts responding with okay instead of paragraphs, he notices, because that emotional pull that once kept him warm is gone. And that absence, that's what wakes him up. Men don't always recognize value when it's loud and available, but they do recognize loss when it's silent and distant. That emotional detachment, that lack of effort, that calm disinterest, it hits like a brick. Not because she's punishing him, not because she's playing games, but because she's finally done playing herself. That's a woman who's tapped out emotionally. And when she does that, it changes the entire energy of the relationship. Let me break it down. A woman who's emotionally detached don't beg. She don't chase. She don't check your phone or try to decode your words. Why? Because she's no longer trying to fix anything. She's observing. She's preparing. She's detaching in silence. That's a different kind of power. That kind of energy will have a man thinking more in 1 week than he did the entire relationship. He'll be sitting there wondering, why doesn't she care anymore? Why didn't she ask me where I was? Why didn't she say anything when I ignored her message? And those questions, those are what bring his attention back. The truth is, emotional detachment is not a switch you flip. It's a journey. A woman gives her heart, her time, her energy, and when none of it is returned, when she's met with games, silence, inconsistency, something in her starts to shut down. It's not out of hate. It's not to get revenge. It's to survive. It's to protect her peace. Because once a woman tastes peace after chaos, she don't want to go back. That detachment becomes her shield. And that shield, that's what commands respect. A man may not say it out loud, but when a woman no longer needs him emotionally, it puts him in a whole different state of mind. Now he has to figure out if he wants to earn her presence again. Not because she pressured him, but because her absence created space for thinking, space for realizing, space for feeling the impact of her detachment. And let me tell you something, when a man starts to feel that, when her energy shifts and her emotions are no longer tied to him like before, he'll try to pull her back in. Not just because he misses her, but because now, for the first time, he sees her. Emotional detachment doesn't mean she's cold. It means she's evolved. It means she realized she deserves more. And when a woman reaches that place, that unbothered peace, it demands attention, whether he's ready for it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that's been true since the beginning of time. When a woman finally walks away, not with bitterness, not with drama, but with peace and dignity, she becomes unforgettable. Not just to that man, but to every room she ever walked in, every soul she ever poured into. Because it takes a different kind of strength to love deeply and still choose to let go when love ain't being given back. That kind of decision, that's not weakness. That's legacy. See, here's the thing about walking away. Most people think it's about leaving a situation behind, but it's bigger than that. It's about choosing yourself over confusion. It's about choosing clarity over mixed signals. It's about protecting your peace over proving your worth. And when a woman does that, especially after giving her all, she etches herself in that man's memory in a way no one else can. Because she didn't stay and beg. She didn't wait around hoping he'd change. She simply decided that she deserved more, and then she walked.